Okay, I want to go through a few of the concerns that would probably be coming up at this point in the essay. You should have already, finished the play, obviously, and done the discussions. And I've looked over those, and folks overall are doing a good job. And always keep in mind with the discussions, try to be thorough and practice the skill that I'm giving you, but don't worry if you get everything perfectly right the first time. It is a discussion area, a place where you can work out ideas and do your best with it, okay? So that's where you should be, and you should have already had a chance to go through and get the early drafts done, at least the first draft stage, the ones I went over last time, and have those in decent shape. So the essay is due tomorrow, and let me show you that in the calendar. Let's go to that so we understand that. So today's the 8th, and tomorrow is the essay is due tomorrow. And I went ahead and I made it due at 11:55 tomorrow night. You basically send it in by the end of the day and you're good. Okay? So by the end of the day tomorrow night, and you're fine. So and I'd like everybody to send it in through the class email and Blackboard. I'd rather you guys did not use the joseph.pendleton@vvc.edu. Use the one in Blackboard, and that way I can have everybody's essays in the same location. Okay, so go into the class email once you're all done with it, and then you should have a screen like this. Create message, and then hit 2. Go down to my name right here. The instructor's there. Put it in there, and just tell me Antigone essay. There you go. And attach it. Just attach it. Use this and attach it, and that's how you're going to do it. So attach it and send it in. You should be able to get that done. It should be in what's called an RTF format, and that's rich text format. Almost any word processing program, if you have Pages from Apple or Word from Microsoft, most of you probably have, or maybe some of you guys have the old school WordPerfect or something like that, or Xword. It should allow you to save it in RTF format, and I'll show you that briefly in a little bit. But let me go through some of this. I went ahead and revised what I did and rewrote it, kind of that one paragraph. And I just want to show you using that one single body paragraph. I'm going to kind of walk through the stages and try to cover some of the things you would be paying attention to right now in the essay. So here's the here's the first draft. Now let me show you a couple things with this just to double check on some of this. Here are the assignments, and if you go through these drafts that I've got here, what you don't want to do, I mentioned this last time, what you don't want to do is type up your draft in the web page itself when it's still here. Notice this has got this black border up here on the top. What you always want to do, let me bring this down here, is download it onto your computer. Hit this, and then download it onto your desktop. And that's what I've done. And once you do that, download it onto your desktop, and you can see I have it, Antigone, first drafts, and right here too. I've got it on my desktop already. So you want to save it on your desktop first. And here are mine right here. I've got it here on my, on my desktop itself, and then I opened it that way. And I'll show you, and then I typed my thoughts into it then. Notice that you have the lavender bar on top. That means you're working from a file saved on your computer. Okay, so, and then you're saving it onto your computer, and that works better. You can't really save it when it's in the web page still. Okay, so let me go through this. This is what I have here, the version I've saved. And this is a lot like the last one I showed you guys, but I've done some changes to it. Every time you work with good literature and you go back to it, you're going to have some slightly different ideas, and that's what I've done. Here's that quotation I had. This is from lines 22 through 27. There it is again, and I've cleaned it up a little bit. And this is my discussion of it. You notice I've got this quotation, and you should have your quotation of 3 to 6 lines. That's my thumb's advice. My rule of thumb, 3 to 6 lines works best. Shorter than 3 lines, generally you're giving yourself too little to work with. More than 6 lines, you probably have far too much to work with. And then I described it, and this was my first go at describing it. I just kind of described it through. And I tried to pay attention to what's going on in these words. not what's going on in the scene before or the scene after or things like that. I tried to pay attention to these words. That's what analysis does. It blows things up, okay? And then I asked myself, why are these lines important? What this is a shift in thought. This is the shift that you need for analysis. And this is going to be, it's not so much an opinion, but it's an insight. And here I'm describing what Antigone's doing. She's confronting her sister Ismene. I talk a little bit about Polynices, and Creon has not announced the decree at the time, but Antigone is already aware of his intentions, and I describe it. It's all straightforward, just describing it. She's also trying to force Ismene to take sides. Antigone knows no fear for herself, though the punishment would be a public stoning, but she also shows no concern for Ismene's well-being. That's me just describing it, okay? Why is it important? Because Antigone's notion of loyalty relies on a selfishness. Now remember, that's my view. I find many students really like Antigone because she has a reason to defy Creon, and she does. You could take a more positive view of Antigone, and that could be your analysis. I take a more negative one. I recognize that she has reasons to defy Creon, but she doesn't take into account the positions of Ismene or the citizens into her defiance. So she has reason for it, but it's her reason, and she's going to only act on hers. So I take a more negative view. That's my analysis, okay? So that's, I don't want to go through and do the later body paragraphs. I could. I don't want to do that because what I end up doing is taking evidence from the play that you might want to use, and I don't want to do that to you guys. I want to leave plenty on there for you guys to do what you want to do with it. So as I walk you through this, I'm just going to walk you through that quotation, okay? And what this did, what this early draft page process did, is walked you through 4 body paragraphs. You got 4 different quotations and wrote about them and did your best with them, did those things with them. This second draft stage, same thing where you have to save it on your computer. Notice I have that lavender bar on top. That tells you you've got it saved on your computer. And all I've done is rework the first body paragraph, okay? Now what you're going to need to do is rework all of your body paragraphs, all 4 of them. Unfortunately, I didn't get this sheet redone to get all 4. I've got you for 3. No, I think I got 4. Yeah, I think I've got you for 3 body paragraphs on this one. But go ahead and do it for a 4th. You should be able to do it for a 4th on your own. And it's just a draft process. This just walks you through it. So my mistake on that. But you get the idea. What this one does in the second draft stage, it repeats a lot. But now it's asking you to write the context of the first quotation. And so that's what I did. Antigone is speaking to Ismene right after the deaths of their brothers in a civil war over the control of the city of Thebes. Antigone has heard that Creon will be giving a decree that no one shall mourn or bury their brothers Polynices because of his disloyalty to the city. That's me setting the context of the first quotation. Okay? So that's what I've done. Here's my first quotation. And what I've done is also add the lines. I'm going to ask you guys to now, when we go on with MLA, it's going to be page numbers. It's always going to be page numbers because our edition of Antigone, this one, does not include page numbers. We're just going to stick with the lines, okay? I don't know why they don't have lines in this. It's just the way it is. I mean, excuse me, why they don't have pages. We're just going to stick with lines for now because that's the best we can do. And then notice this. I rewrote it. I copied it, copied it and pasted it over here, but I revised the language. This is better now. I like this a little bit better. Antigone challenges her sister, Ismene, and tries to force her to defy Creon's recent decree to not mourn or bury the body of Polynices. At no point does Antigone ask Ismene for her views or thoughts, nor does she consider the positions of others in the city. Now notice that wasn't in the first draft, not in the description. It's in here now because I'm revising it and improving it as I'm working through the draft process, okay? So, and usually what I do is I add onto the sentences I already have. That's the big thing. You shouldn't focus on really adding more sentences, but add more to the sentences you already have. That's why you can copy and paste it and just flesh it out more. See if you can add more detail. Antigone, it's not perfect yet. Antigone is well aware of Creon's intentions to make his decree, but shows no awareness or concern, I should say, nor concern, for the views or positions of others in the city, including Ismene. She plans to defy Creon publicly in a show of loyalty to her dead brother, without regard for how her actions affect others. Okay, and this is kind of what was in the first draft, but I've just developed it more. And notice this is all description of what's going on in the quotation. I haven't jumped ahead to scenes with Haman and others. And then I just refined this a little bit. Antigone makes a public display of her loyalty to her dead brother, but she shows more concern for how she appears to others rather than for the well-being of her own sister and citizens of Thebes. And now I'm thinking right now as I'm going through this isn't so much about loyalty to her dead brother, but about disloyalty to Creon. So I might add that to it. Antigone's notion of loyalty relies on a self-centeredness that does not take the position of Ismene or the citizens into consideration, and shows more concern with her disloyalty. Than anything or anybody else. A little bad writing there, but hey, that happens in rough drafts, huh? So that's kind of what I'm doing. But then let me show you how I move this over to, so you can see what I've done here. I've got, these are the 4 elements of a body paragraph. And notice I haven't written the introduction yet. I'm going to show you an introduction in a bit. And I'm going to show you a thesis. This sets the context, has the evidence, discusses the evidence in detail, and then analyzes the evidence. Those are the 4 elements of a body paragraph in an analytical essay. All analytical writing has those 4 elements. It's not a matter of how many sentences you have. Okay, it's a matter of do you have those basic elements. Now, rule of thumb, because you know my thumb likes to jump in and give advice, he does that. Generally, it takes 2 to 3 sentences to set the context, 2 to 3. The quotation should be about 3 to 6 lines, okay? 2 to 3 to set the context, 3 to 6 for evidence, about 3 to 5 to describe it adequately. I think I've gone a little bit over here. I'm an English teacher, I do that. And it takes about 2 to 3 to analyze it. Those are just rules of thumb. I don't count the sentences, but I look for these core elements. I look for the core element of, did you set the context? Do you have evidence? Did you discuss that evidence carefully? And then did you analyze it? Did you tell me why you think it's important? And I really want to see some originality here. I don't want to read essays where everybody agrees with me. I want originality with it. That's what I'm looking for. Those are the strong students, okay? So I want to be clear about that. And that's why I'm avoiding, writing a whole essay with you guys. So I just want to walk you through the core elements of the body paragraphs. Now let me show you this. This is, I've sketched together a basic essay, rough, very rough. I'm going to fix some of this up, and then I'll fix it up a lot better tomorrow. But this is if I've already done the second draft stage, where I asked you at the bottom of the page, you'll notice at the very end of this, I have this. This walks you through, bring the analysis together into a thesis statement. You should write the thesis statement once. What you think all 4 of your body paragraphs. Look here to your, this is really the third body paragraph, the third, the second, the first. Look to all 4 of them. Again, I didn't give you a 4th one in here. That's my mistake. But you should have 4 body paragraphs and 4 analyses. Look to all 4 of those and put it all together in one sentence. Okay, and then look to all 4 of them and rewrite it. Write it more than once. Rewrite that thesis statement. Write it here once. It should come out a little bit clunky. Then write it again. Okay. And then what you can do is try to summarize all your body paragraphs. Give an overview of all your body paragraphs. Essentially, what I've had you do is kind of write your introduction in reverse. Okay, and that actually works best. You basically, after you finish this sheet, have all of the content of your essay. Okay, now let's put it all over into a Word document and look at what it's going to look like. This is still rough, and I want to walk you through this. I made up a student, Susie McMuffin, and I've got all these formatting errors in this and everything else. Let me show you one thing I do. Okay, this little backwards P is really good for showing you for the commands that you've entered. And notice it shows me where I've hit return. And if I turn it on, it shows me where I've hit return. It shows me these tabs. It shows me the spaces. Those don't print out, but it's good to know where they are when you're going through and you're editing your essay. It's good to know that. So go ahead and go through that and turn that on, and that'll show you everything you've got. Now let me show you a few things. This one's pretty rough, and it lacks a lot of things, and it needs a lot of work still. So one thing to note, some things that are good. First thing you need in MLA is your name first, then my name. Always spell my name correctly, D-L-E-T-O-N. English 101, and then the date it's due. It's going to be due on the 9th, so we'll make it into the 9th. Okay. A couple things. You'll notice if I put it this way, it looks like it's centered. It's actually not. It's tabbed. I'm going to advise you strongly, and I used to edit, to not use tabs or spaces. Some students use spaces to center it, and some students use tabs to center it. I would not do either one. Put it like this, and then go up to the top of your page and go click on this right here. That's the center. Many of you are sitting there right now going, of course I knew that. But many of you are going, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, it's right up here. Center it, have the cursor only on the title. Only on the title. Don't select the whole essay. Only on the title, and then hit the center right there. Okay? The rest of the essay is what's called left justified. So when I go back into the body paragraphs, it's this one right here. Okay? Left justified, centered, right justified. You shouldn't be doing that. And unless, well, don't go there. Or fully justified. The only ones you really need to worry about are left justified or centered. Okay? Now, one thing is I'll go over this tomorrow. You're going to need to enter your name up here to insert that, but I'll go over that tomorrow morning. Okay? I want to go over more of the content, what you're looking for with the introduction. Okay? So you get your title centered, you got your name and things like that. And this one is still pretty rough, and I'll go over this one tomorrow again. But notice this is the introduction. Now this introduction's a little bit underdeveloped, okay, and this one's rough still. This is what you're working towards. You've kind of got it developed, and a good introduction is about 3/4 of a page. This one's about half a page or so, so this one can still be fixed and refined, and I'm going to do that, okay? But I've set it up. In the city of Thebes, outside of Athens, Antigone confronts her sister Ismene and tries to convince her to defy the new king Creon. That's me setting out a basic fact. Okay, and Creon has decreed that no one in the city may bury or mourn their brother Polynices, which Antigone uses as a reason to challenge the authority and the loyalty of her sister. Now I'm starting to get to my ideas. I'm going to mention something. I haven't done it yet, but this is more factual. I need to mention something about how Antigone is more selfish in the first body paragraph. I'm going to also go into, in the body paragraphs when I write this essay, how she's selfish with both the city citizens and with Haman, and doesn't consider others. So that's going to all be covered in the introduction. After you write your introduction, there's no surprises in the body paragraphs. Try to write an introduction that covers all your body paragraphs and maps everything out. Try to do that, okay? A little bit on the facts and a little bit on your ideas. The scenes you're going to cover and what you're going to say about them. So try to cover the scenes you're going to go to, but also why they're important. If you didn't write anything about Haman, don't mention Haman in the introduction. But if you did, make sure you name him up there. Okay? If you didn't write about Ismene, don't mention her. If you only wrote about Creon, only have your introduction focused on Creon. That's really what it should be focused on. Okay? Here I've got a first draft of a thesis. It will always, once you write your introduction, it will always be the last sentence of the introduction. And this is my idea, okay? This is my insight into the play. But this thesis isn't good enough. I need to make this one better, okay? Antigone's actions show that she is more concerned with the display of loyalty to the dead rather than the sense of loyalty to the well-being of the living. You kind of got that from the first body paragraph. But I need to add a little bit more to make sure it touches on Ismene, on disloyalty, and also to Haman. I need to add those elements to this because that's what I wanted to write my essay on. So this is an okay thesis, and notice that it's an insight of mine into Antigone, that she is really more concerned with the display of loyalty and not with loyalty to the living. Okay, and so it's a disloyalty issue. It's a disloyalty to the living and a loyalty to what she imagines the dead want, but she doesn't know. Okay, so that's my thesis. Okay, that's what it's going to be. That still needs work, and I'm going to do this tomorrow morning. Okay, stay tuned. Now here's a body paragraph that's being worked on. Okay, here's me setting the context. That's what it is. Here's the quotation. And I've got the lines at the end. Notice this is all in one tab. Okay, I hit this up here. This is how a block quotation looks. If you want to block it, select the whole quotation and then hit this right up here at the top. That will block it, and the whole thing is blocked in. Then I've got the lines 20 through to 27 at the bottom. So I set the context right here. This is how all of your body paragraphs are going to work. Then you have the quotation. And then I have my description. This is refined again. It's different from my draft work. So I've refined it again. And Antigone's treatment of Ismene in Creon's decrees show no concern for the perspective of Ismene, who has just lost her two brothers, nor for the citizens and thieves who have just gone through a civil war. That's my analysis of this. That's why these lines are important. And notice that's at the bottom of the paragraph. Okay, so that's what you want to have for 4 body paragraphs. You should have, by the end of today, I hope, your basically it's typed up. You have your name and all that other stuff. You have your introduction and your thesis. This one's still rough, and I'm going to clean it up tomorrow. And you have your body paragraph where you have all these elements in it. Set the context, evidence, discussion, and analysis at the bottom. Okay, and you have it for 4 body paragraphs. I'll go through refining all this and writing your conclusion tomorrow before the middle of the day. Okay, one thing I'll mention right now, this all should be in Times Roman and double spaced. All should be in Times Roman and double spaced. I'll go more over that tomorrow. You can select the whole thing and put it all in Times Roman. I will go over that again tomorrow to make it look better. So it's still kind of rough and it's still in bad shape. We'll fix it up tomorrow, okay? All right, so keep at it, guys. And good luck with this. And again, it will be due tomorrow night, Tuesday night, by, let's say, 11:59. Take care.